Folks, good afternoon. It's good to be with you. Thank you for coming to our session today. I think is probably going to be a continuing dialogue on the ethical use of AI. Our session today focuses on the ethical use of artificial intelligence, generative AI, in composing college essays. And I want to thank our panelists for being here with us today. To my left is Professor Jonathan York, Theron Hernandez, and Jessica McKenzie Waldrop. Very briefly, tell us just a little bit about what you teach.
Oh, Jonathan? Sure. I am now a long time professor of government and political science here at Mountain View.
I'm new. I've only been here 7 months, and so I'm teaching biological sciences, so all things A&P, majors and non-majors, biological sciences.
Somewhere in the middle for how long I've been here, but I teach history, and because of the classes students want to take, that's largely U.S. history survey courses.
Very good, very good. We have in our audience here folks from Cedar Valley who are watching this by streaming. Also, faculty and students here at Mountain View campus. We're recording this today, and it will be posted later after I get it processed onto YouTube, and we'll publish that in a public forum so y'all can have access to it over the time. Our purpose today is to explore the ethical use of generative AI in composing college essays. If there's a single topic in higher education that is getting more attention, I don't know what it is right now. From conference to conference, from hallway talk to classroom discussion, AI is the topic of the day. It's a topic that generates not only a lot of discussion, but a lot of controversy as well. Clearly, it's a new phenomenon in technology that's probably going to have an impact equal to the first handheld computer, or what was the little calculator?
Remember the little calculator?
Years ago.
TI-35.
TI-35. So we'll see where it goes, but right now it's a very fluid discussion that we're having, not only in higher education, but in the professions generally. Nevertheless, as the conversations go on, the world is moving ahead with the application of AI in just about every arena of social life and business. Our focus is on ethics. So what is an ethic? If you look at your handout, I provided you some information. This is the outline we're going to be following over the next few minutes here. Here's a definition of an ethic. It's a standard of right or wrong. Almost every source that I've accessed identifies an ethic as a standard for what's right or wrong. But another one said that it's a principle of behavior guided by a value. So an example of an ethic might be, well, I have to feed less fortunate people. What's the value behind that? Less fortunate people are worthy of being fed. So there's something important, and the behavior responds to it. So that's another approach to understanding ethics. In our case, what constitutes right or wrong in composing a college essay? Why do we compose college essays? So that we can learn, so that we can contribute from our learning. And so these are some values perhaps that guide us in discussing the ethical use of AI or any other means for generating a college essay. Now, what is AI? Well, I've given you a definition of that, and it's taken straight off of a generative AI platform here, an LLM. And it's an effort to make machines think, learn, act intelligently. And more specifically, it refers to systems designed to learn from data, that's machine learning, recognize patterns, understand and generate language, which is the most important one for our discussion, perceive images, speech, and environments, make decisions or predictions, and improve performance over time. And folks, that information is taken right off of AI. So we're using it constantly. Now, before we get started, I want to ask our students here if y'all will say a word. How many of you can show by a raise of hands, how many of y'all have used AI in some form before? The students first. Okay, all right. All of our students have. Have you used it in composition? This doesn't have to be a true confession, but if you have, it'll help our discussion. I don't see any hand. Oh, one of you have used it in composing an assignment or some other form. Is that right?
Yes.
Okay. Others of you have used it to do what?
No, study.
To help you study.
Take quotes from an article.
To pull quotations from an article. All right. So we have 3 different uses right there so far. Well, thank you for sharing your experiences with it. So here's a question for you. Should college students be allowed to use generative AI in composing college essays? I provided you here a sample essay, which I produced through AI just this morning. It's the last 3 pages or sheets of your handout there. It's a sample college essay generated by Microsoft Copilot on a short story, and it took less than 20 seconds to generate this full essay. It includes quotations from the story. It's organized with an introductory paragraph, a body paragraph, which are identified there by headings, and a conclusion. And it is a very well written one. I asked, you see the prompt there that I used to generate it. Compose a 3-page college essay on Marshall Bennett Connolly's story, Three Dirges. Include short but key supporting quotations from the story in each body paragraph. Include a separate introductory paragraph, body paragraphs, and a concluding essay. And it wrote an essay at a language level better than my own. And I say that having written the short story myself. So what does that tell us about it? Let's start our panel here and respond to this question, if you will. Should college students be allowed to use generative AI in composing college essays? Jonathan, why don't you start?
You know, that's a tough call. I think that's
Well, that's why we're here.
Yes, I think it might actually oversimplify the potential problem. There is a serious challenge anytime we have a new technology that is introduced as a tool. I think that whether we believe that generative AI tools should be used or not is really kind of irrelevant, because they're going to use it anyway, whether we expect them to or not, or whether we want them to or not. The real question here is, knowing that this tool exists, knowing that this kind of text generator exists, how do we, if we are going to use it, how are we going to use it in a way, or how are the students going to use it in a way that actually enhances their mastery of the material, of the content, really their learning for whatever subject they're dealing with?
Okay, thank you, Jonathan. Professor Hernandez?
So it is a loaded question, very loaded question. In biological sciences, I think it's really crucial that students understand that we are in the forefront of biotechnology. So all of these tools are going to come into perspective, and we're going to use them. We just need to have policies in place to allow them the proper way to use them. And so for me in my classes, I don't penalize my students, but I give them an example. And my example is, tell me what AI stands for. And they'll say what? What does AI stand for? Let's take the first word. What does artificial mean? Not real. These nails on my finger. These lashes that make me look cute. These are artificial. They are not real. They're not a living entity. It's not nothing that it is something that you can have a relationship with or communicate with. So it's important that I let them know that you're feeding information into something that is artificial, that is not your own words, your own language, your own thoughts, and it is not who you are as an individual. Now, can it enhance who you are and how you speak? Absolutely. But do we need to do that in the profession that you're going into? And like I said, I teach a lot of students who are going into health science. You got to have a personal relationship. So I'll pass the mic.
My turn now?
Yeah,
Okay.
pass the mic.
I mean, I'd agree with what both people have said thus far. Particularly what I emphasize in my courses is that we're not going to use AI because we need to build skills first. And so there are umpteen articles coming out right now in particular about Gen Z and how Gen Z is not getting hired. And the reason they're not getting hired is because what they're lacking are the skills that are needed for a lot of managerial positions. So what they're saying, critical thinking skills, ability to communicate in teams and in small groups, ability to present in front of large groups, and these are all things that they're lacking. And so I tell them in my classroom, then we're gonna get back to those basics, where you gotta learn to critically think in here first. You've got to learn to talk to others in here first. You've got to learn to present in here first, and the skill sets that we need before you can go off and use AI. And if anything, education is becoming more vital, because if you truly want to use AI well, it's actually English and combinations of math to be able to use it properly and get the most effective result out of it. You have to know formulas, you have to know verbs and adjectives to be able to instruct it properly. So we really need to get to the basics and the foundations and learn those. And then, then use AI as a tool, right? It's that emphasis of being a tool. It's not using you, but you're using it.
Very good.
Thank you.
I've identified a number of issues on your handout, and for those of you who are live in the audience, you have these issues in front of you as well in the form of questions. It's a little handout called Questions and Issues for Discussion. You'll see that there. We can't cover all of these today, but I want to raise one of them particularly, which is number 3, equity and access. I'll read it to you here for those of you who are watching the stream. Does generative AI reduce inequities? That is, for multilingual students or first-generation writers, or does it create new forms of unfair advantage? That is, for those who have access to it and those who don't, but who in classes may be evaluated equally on independent standards for the course when they don't have access to it. I'll turn that to our panel.
I've actually had some experience with this in my classrooms, especially with some of my international students they may be relatively limited English proficient, and they've approached me about using a generative AI, large language model, text generator, and also possibly a digital editing assistant to try to clean up their language. Now, some of them have access to it, some of them don't, and it seems to be the divide seems to be primarily really on partly on where they're coming from. I mean, if they're coming from an environment, say from their home country, that is not saturated with 21st century technology, then many of them do not necessarily really have the understanding that some of these tools exist, and that does put them at a disadvantage relative to somebody who has come from a tech-saturated society. And they're the ones who are coming from a tech-saturated society. They're the ones who usually come up to me and ask, "Hey, I'm using this tool, or I try to use this tool. Can I?" And then we have to set up some kind of ground rules, some kinds of limits. I said, make sure that it is you writing the ideas, that you are exploring the ideas, not letting it drive you. I mean, are you going to be the sidekick or the star of your paper? That's become a more frequent thing, comment that I've had to give. Does it create new forms of unfair advantage? Potentially.
Okay.
So I am a first generation student. So I kind of look at and I'm majoring in biology, and I look at it in two lenses, from equity to experience. So I'm gonna tell you a little bit about my experience as, I don't know what generation I am. what is that, millennial? I think I'm a millennial. I fall in that range. And so in that time, I was in the era of You Got Mail, MySpace, dial-up internet that we was talking about earlier, and nobody knows kind of how difficult it is as a biology major to go to y'all might experience that, but going to the library and having to search these thick, dusty journal catalogs to write a 2-page paper. Y'all, the students that are here, y'all have it so much easier. We had to go in and wait, or we had to go into a computer lab, wait if the machine was working and nobody was in there playing around on their MySpace page to get access to a computer to do your work. So as a first generational student, I really had to go through a road that was less traveled and hard, and not really having the resources available for me to just have them at my fingertip or at, in my phone, in my pocket. And so one of the biggest things when it comes to the equity of it all, I think, like we stated earlier, it is a tool. We have to show students how to use it as a tool. We also have to understand that their experiences are unique to our own, and we have to beat their people. And again, going back to AI is not real. It's artificial. It is not real. And so to understand the multilingual students and the first generation students and how they create new forms. The new form is that showing you how to use the tool. In my classes, microscopes is one of the major tools that they have to learn how to use. If you don't know how to use it, you will break it, you can damage it. That's a $3,000 piece of equipment, and we got a lot of them. So you have to know how to use the tool. Now, how as a biology first generation international student do you give them structures and strategies on how to use it? First, you got to talk to your students. Sometimes as professors, we come in with this narrative that this is what they need to learn and this is how they need to focus, and I got to teach them this way. It's a different generation. We got to reach them where they're at and pull that out of them. And it takes a special person to learn how to do that and pull that out of that student. Another thing that I want to say about AI is norms need to be created. As educators who are sitting on this panel, we have to create those norms. It's a vast range of it. But if you think about the history of every content that we teach, whatever area it is, there's a norm that was given to us to where we're supposed to lay out how we deliver the material. If I'm teaching mitosis, there's a norm that was given to me that I learned from somebody else. And I also